police officer shot after a traffic stop has died.
This, by the way, the 46th officer shot and killed in the line of duty this year.
The Democrats are absolute hypocrites. They've always supported fences and walls. They only don't want to do it because of me.
Does he want to have government closed and forever?
This is going to be one of the defining issues of the next 2 years heading into 2020.
The suspected terrorist behind the Christmas market massacre in France is dead. Sharif Sheikhat killed in a shootout with police following an international manhunt.
The U.S. District Court judge is now ordering Robert Mueller to hand over his secret documents related to the questioning of Michael Flynn.
Even your young son has been brought into this at times.
It does make me angry because children should be off limits. And I protect him and I want to give him the childhood that he deserves.
That your favorite artist is Billy Joel. Right. So I said, okay, Brian Ainsley, let's sing a song by Billy Joel.
What was your mistake, though?
Asking you if you would sing.
What's your second mistake?
We didn't know you. We knew you didn't dance. We didn't know you didn't sing.
No. You have to know where you have to stay in your lane in life. And the other thing is, you picked what song?
No, you don't.
What song?
Uptown Girl.
Right. Bad Memories when they broke up. And you know,
Christy
I wasn't
Brinkley.
the same as when Christy Brinkley and Billy Joel broke up. He wrote it for her.
So you didn't sing because they broke up.
It hurt.
Well, name a song.
They're
Brian,
still friends.
Pick another song, and we'll sing it at 6:30.
They're still friends if it makes you feel any better. I was at his concert, and she was on the front row, and he started singing it to her, and then the camera zoomed in on her, and of course the whole audience is watching her for the rest of the show.
Anyway, we've got some of the karaoke highlights from our big
pretty scary.
Christmas party yesterday.
Well,
Yes.
You guys at 6:30.
Well, you guys were partying. I was trying to end this imminent government shutdown.
You were at the bar.
Oh. Sorry about that.
With the vodka in your hand, ending the shutdown.
Is anyone going to let me transition?
No. Okay,
There is no clear transition. We should just start from scratch.
All right. Next week, there's going to be a shutdown. Thanks for joining us. There's a war for the border wall, and the president is doubling, tripling down, and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are not playing ball. In fact, the president talked about this last night because he's frustrated because he knows this isn't a liberal against conservative. He knows that this is what they used to think as opposed to what they do think now, because we know Chuck Schumer and Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and Harry Reid all came, and Hillary Clinton all weighed in. Well, they believe we need border security and a border barrier.
We know the president likes to tweet, but yesterday it was a little different than what he normally does. He posted a video on Twitter accusing the Democrats of being hypocrites by using their own words. Watch this.
The Democrats are absolute hypocrites. All along, they've been supporting walls and supporting fences and supporting all sorts of border security.
Illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple.
Look, I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in.
We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked.
The fact is, they've always supported fences and walls and partitions, but you know what? They only don't want to do it because of me.
Well, it was back in 2006 with a Republican-held Congress that all those Democrats said they would sign up and in fact voted for the U.S.-Mexico Secure Fence Act. It passed 80-19. It would have built 700 miles of double fencing along the U.S. border. It was never built. So that brings us to today. After we saw the president on, I believe it was Tuesday, I mean, he made it very clear. When Nancy Pelosi said it'll never get out of the House, House leaders say, we can get it out of the House. The problem is the Senate. However, if they had the votes, Paul Ryan, who is of the opinion, well, if we have the votes, we're going to vote on it, he obviously doesn't have the vote. He also has a problem because after this little 5-day off that they have right now, 20 members of Congress are not coming back on the Republican side. 10 because they lost their job in the November election, and the other 10 because it's Christmas time and they're going to stay home with their family.
Right. 300.
So he's operating at a 20-vote deficit.
And Congress has to pass this appropriations bill by the end of the year, so we only have about a week left.
Chad Pergram said last night they only have about 370 in attendance. People have just left, period. So they're not close to the 430 that they need to get a vote in. So they can't get the $5 billion out of the House, which is mostly symbolic because they're not going to get the 60 votes in the Senate. So Nancy Pelosi looks like she's right in that respect. And there is and as we speculated on Monday, before the blow-up in the Oval Office on, I think it was on Tuesday, where is the president's leverage on this? Do Republicans let him out to dry for the last 2 years? I don't see the leverage. Here's Nancy Pelosi last night.
But does he want to have government closed and forever? I mean, what's this about? I know he doesn't believe in government. I know he doesn't know that much about what is at risk to shut it down. But I think that it would be... let's not talk about what might happen.
You know, I think the president's leverage is the average American, a majority of Americans want strong border security. And they like, many of them like, particularly of his base, like the idea he's willing to stand up for the wall. He's willing to shut down a quarter of the federal government and furlough hundreds of thousands of federal employees to get the wall. For him, that is worth it. Our government spends so much money on different stuff. What's $5 billion to them?
Well, and if the president wants $5 billion, they're willing to give him $1.3 billion. That's still money that will go toward the wall.
Yeah, but it's not the win he wants.
Yeah, correct. It's not close. It's not even the compromise he wants. I just don't know where he goes from here. Meanwhile, Kirstjen Nielsen will be out a little bit later. One of the elements, when they went back and forth in that 17-minute brawl at the Oval Office, one of the things they brought up is the president says, you know, we're catching terrorists there. We're going to share, Kirstjen Nielsen, the Homeland Security Secretary, is going to share numbers with us to tell us what elements are actually crossing in at our border, what's indeed at stake. And those numbers are being held until she comes.
Right. So to recap, it looks as if they are at an impasse regarding the short-term budget of the United States government, and there will probably be a shutdown coming up very shortly. In the meantime, there is a deadline at 3 o'clock this afternoon. U.S. District Judge Emmett Sullivan has ordered Robert Mueller's team turn over all the government documents and memorandum you have regarding the interview that Peter Strzok, the FBI agent, and another agent had in the Situation Room at the White House with Michael Flynn. Apparently, Andy McCabe, you remember him, the deputy director of the FBI, he called up Flynn and he said, hey, listen, you know, this is going to take a long time if we involve lawyers from the Department of Justice or the White House counsel. So how about I just send a couple of guys over? They'll ask you some questions about this Russia thing. He said, Mr. Flynn said, okay. And that is what got Mr. Flynn in trouble.
So the two agents arrive and they start questioning him, at which time they said, did you meet with Ambassador Kislyak? He said, yeah. Did you talk about the sanctions? Reportedly, he said no. He didn't remember. They didn't believe in the report that was written 7 months later. They didn't believe that Flynn was lying. They believe they didn't remember. And 7 months later, they signed this, the 302s that talked about this meeting. How are you even supposed to remember what took place? And the one thing he did is say, we felt as though if we told him you could have a lawyer, it would hurt the rapport we were building with Michael Flynn, which is essentially to drop your defenses.
He said, Mr. McCabe said, you know, it's going to take too long. This is not a big deal. Let us just send the guys over. Within 2 hours, Mr. Flynn was in the Situation Room, sitting down with Mr. Strzok, who, of course, was fired from the Mueller case because of anti-Trump bias. And it was set up by Mr. McCabe, who was fired for lying about leaks.
And it's not even recommended that he gets any jail time, because what he did, Comey admitted in that interview a few days ago or a week ago, he said, when he was sitting on stage, he said, we broke protocol. We didn't do it the way we normally did. We did it the unconventional way because we took advantage of President Trump and his administration, and we just called over there and said, can we come and talk to you?
Right.
Does anyone else have a problem with that? If the FBI calls you and they want to talk to you, you probably want to get a lawyer.
Right. Well, you would think so. Jim Jordan says, though, there is something behind all this. They're just out to get the president.
When you say I got away with something, that just tells you didn't do it the right way. They were so focused on getting President Trump that they were willing to set up a lieutenant general, a guy who served our country, as you said, 33 years. Mike Flynn ran the Defense Intelligence Agency. He had to know his conversations with Kislyak were being listened to, were being monitored. So he had to know that. There's no reason for him to come in there and say something that wasn't true. He just got caught because he didn't know they were setting him up like they did. And so Judge Sullivan demanding these documents is exactly what needs to happen.
That is great. And Judge Sullivan's got a great reputation. Jonathan Turley says, I've dealt with him before. He's a great guy. He's by the book, and he's going to make the Mueller probe come up with these documents or delay the entire thing.
By 3 o'clock today.
Something else, when the president sat down with Harris Faulkner, the president did something he rarely does. He made a mistake. Obviously, everybody knows it. Yeah, amidst making a mistake, hiring Michael Cohen. And he did go out again, and I hope he's not winging it because so much is at stake legally. But he said, I never told Michael Cohen to do anything illegal. Right. That would be to pay off these women. I'm just saying, as Ed Rollins writes today, Robert Mueller, whether you love him or not, or hate him, put together an A-team. The president has to get together an illegal A-team. It doesn't matter if you, as we're seeing with the Michael Flynn situation, if you're innocent or guilty. This is tactics. And one of the tactics got Michael Flynn, and the president winging it at this level against these men and women is a huge mistake, if in fact he is. He's got to get that A-team together.
But just remember, it was to find Russia collusion. They haven't found any of that. Along the way, they found the Michael Cohen stuff.
But Steve, you're right. But this is where they're at.
It absolutely is. And it all goes back to Jeff Sessions because he had to recuse himself. They had to then install a special counsel at the suggestion of Mr. Comey by leaking that stuff. What a tangled web.
Michael Cohen got outsmarted by Michael Avenatti, and since that time, the raids on his offices had yielded all types of problems for the Trump organization.
President also, in that interview with Harris yesterday, said that special counsel was trying to scare Michael Flynn into lying, and that's why they sent those agents in to talk to him.
Anyway,
without any representation.
So much going on in Washington, D.C. and everywhere else. And with more, Jillian joins us on this Friday.
That's right. Good Friday morning. Let's start with a Fox News alert now. And some sad news, a police officer shot and killed when a routine traffic stop turns violent. The suspect shooting the officer in the head while he ran from his car in DeKalb County, Georgia. He also shot and wounded a canine before being killed in a shootout with police. The fallen officer was with the department for less than 2 years. His brothers in blue in tears outside the hospital. This is the 46th officer shot and killed in the line of duty this year. That's 8 more than the total number killed all of last year. A Christmas market reopens in France this morning after a suspected terrorist behind the deadly massacre there is dead. Sharif Sheikhat killed in a shootout with police following an international manhunt. Police say he opened fire on officers when they tried to question him just steps away from the scene of Tuesday's attack. Sheikhat is accused of killing 3 people and injuring more than a dozen others. An FBI manhunt is intensifying for whoever sent chilling bomb threats to schools, hospitals, and other locations, sparking evacuations across the U.S. and Canada. The suspect sent emails and robocalls threatening to blow up buildings unless a $20,000 ransom was paid in Bitcoin. The threats were not credible and no one was hurt. It's unclear how many places were targeted. Let's look at your headlines. I'll send it back to you.
They think they can be anonymous with Bitcoin.
Yep.
All right. Jillian, thank you.
All right, straight ahead. The House Oversight Committee digging into new pay-to-play allegations against the Clinton Foundation while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. Tom Fitton testified at that hearing and says Obama's DOJ may have blocked a serious investigation. He joins us next.
There is enough evidence to warrant serious investigations of the Clinton Foundation, and there is evidence that, in addition to this, that the Clinton Foundation investigations that may have been taking place during the Obama administration were suppressed by the Justice Department.
Wow. Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton sounding off the alarm on the Clinton Foundation as House Republicans examine new allegations of pay-to-play while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. Here with more of his testimony is Tom Fitton. Tom, what's new about this?
Fox and Friends first. Well, what's new is that Congress is actually doing a hearing on the Clinton Foundation. Many of these allegations came up as a result of Judicial Watch's Freedom of Information Act litigation that exposed the secret email system, showing that you had these pay-to-play activities taking place in August of 2016. And then yesterday's hearing saw new witnesses come forward who have pursued a separate investigation. They've talked to insiders at the Clinton Foundation who have raised concerns about the way it was run. And also that the Justice Department at least has asked for the information that they've gathered. I don't know if that means much in the end. I mean, you kind of see what's happening here. You had the Justice Department ambushing General Flynn while, as has been highlighted repeatedly, the same Justice Department was making sure the FBI wasn't investigating the Clinton Foundation in any serious way.
The number one, when she lost power and when she lost the election, man, did the Clinton Foundation pay the price. They earned $62.9 million in 2016. They raised it, I should say. In 2017, that went down to 26.6. That's a 58% decrease. Well, it's logical, some would say, because she lost power and she lost leverage. So what do you say to people who just say, well, she's out of power, you know, they just lost a little bit of momentum?
Well, she isn't out of power in the sense she's still a political figure. But I'd be interested to know where the drop in donations came off. Was it the foreign governments who were supplying money to the Clinton Foundation during her tenure at the State Department? Did they stop giving because they didn't see an interest in doing so anymore? It's just as a further indication the Clinton Foundation was an influence factory and a platform for the Clinton brand to allow her to run for president. And the public corruption angle there is you had foreign money like the Russians trying to get a good result on the Uranium One decision, and other foundation donors with sketchy past, both foreign and domestic, using the foundation to get favors from the Clinton State Department. The State Department ought to be looking at what went on. The Justice Department ought to be looking at what went on, and obviously DOJ and FBI. And it's frankly shameful that Judicial Watch has had to carry the load on our shoulders.
No, it's been all you. And it started really the Clinton Cash book with Peter Schweitzer and Steve Bannon. Right. And then you guys have built and got into detail. But Jeff Sessions had no interest. We'll see if William Barr will, if he in fact gets okayed. Tom, always great talking to you. Thanks so much. Have a great Christmas, too. Coming up straight ahead on this show. Emily Compagno lets her dream come true. She gets to race in that car really fast.
With every lap that we raced today, we raised money for his family and the United States Veterans Corps. It's an honor to drive for your son.
Headlines for you. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren discussing their 2020 aspirations in a private meeting. The New York Times reporting the two possible White House contenders didn't seek each other's support or try to dissuade the other from running. Neither has officially said that they will try to take on President Trump in the next election. But Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro says his twin brother, Julian Castro, has made up his mind.
Well, I'll speak on his behalf here. He's going to run for president. How about that?
Family out of San Antonio, Texas, Julian Castro laughing, but he didn't deny the statement. The former HUD secretary under former President Obama maintains an official decision is coming next month.
They're all coming next month.
Yeah, 30 plus. Good luck. Meanwhile, our friend Emily Compagno, Linoji, I'll ignore that, lived out her race car dreams, driver dreams for a great cause.
That's right. This past weekend, Emily took part in a 24-hour race to support veterans in need and honor of fallen Navy SEAL Charlie Keating, who was killed while fighting ISIS back in 2016.
Former federal attorney and race car enthusiast Emily Compagno joins us now with this incredible story. Hey, Emily.
Hey, you guys. Thank you so much for having me on to talk about it. Really, this was an incredible experience. First of all, it was a blast. But more importantly, it was an honor to race on behalf of the U.S. Veterans Corps. And how it worked is that this charity, it was started by 3 paratroopers. And they have numerous different arms to the charity. And one of them, for example, is building homes for wounded veterans. So this race was raising money on behalf of individual fallen soldiers and SEALs.
And we should point out, it's not like you just were dropped behind the wheel of a race car. You actually own a muscle car.
Yes, I do. A 72 Mach 1. In the moment, it's getting an engine rebuild, so it's not as fast as that right there. But you guys, check out my package here. It is race day in Georgia. We are here at Road Atlanta for the 24 Hours of Lemons race, and my team is the U.S. Veterans Corps. As you can see, it's raining, and I'm a little nervous, but I'm honored to be a part of something raising money for these special forces. Let's get started. Andy Ladner, he's the founder of the United States Veterans Corps. What happens the more laps we do here?
So this is not only just for our missions, but it's also for the fallen. So each one of our drivers, including you, are driving for someone that was killed in combat operations. You can either make a donation per lap or one blanket donation.
Tell me more about your charity.
The U.S. Veterans Corps, we do food, toys, house is the easiest way to say it. The biggest one we have is Operation Coming Home. We're on House 19 right now. In fact, one of our drivers, who's House 17, was wounded in combat in Afghanistan. He is going to drive for Laps of Honor also.
Anthony Von Cannon, U.S. Army veteran, the recipient of the 17th Hero Home.
This is a little bit different from what we normally do. He asked if I wanted to race a car. I'm like, heck yeah, I wanted to come down there and watch anyway. But yes, of course, I'll try to drive it.
Receiving the 17th Hero Home, what was that like?
Incredible. Just a huge blessing. It was right on time with our family. They parachuted the keys in like they did and just really changed our lives.
This is my teammate, Eric Stebner. He is a retired U.S. Army Ranger. All right, Eric, you're the pro. What are your race tips for me? I'm starting to freak out. It's becoming real.
Just relax. Keep going straight forward.
Anthony, last words for me.
Have fun.
Nice.
Go fast.
All right, you guys, let's go get geared up. Super excited. Time to go.
With every lap that we raced today, we raised money for Gold Star mom, Krista Keating Joseph. This is Charlie Keating IV's mom. He was a Navy SEAL who fell in northern Iraq on May 3rd, 2016. And we just learned that the crew, all these special ops guys that have put this on, they knew your son. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it makes my day. I got here and I heard stories that I haven't heard before about Charlie. He was just such an exceptional person, and I'm proud of what he did for his life, and I'm proud of you.
Oh my God, thank you.
I can't believe you're doing this.
I was thinking of your son. I was scared at times, and I thought that any type of fear I have pales in comparison to the greater cause and honoring your son's memory and the sacrifice he made for our nation. It's an honor to drive for your son. Really, thank you for
It's an
being
honor
here.
to see you do it.
Oh, that is a great story.
very
And because of the lousy conditions, this is actually extending. What's going on?
Yes, it is. So viewers, everyone can go to myusvc.com to learn more about the charity, to donate, to support this incredible cause. And I just want to point out that these guys, they are superheroes in human skin, not only on the battlefield and serving their country. I mean, books have been written about battles they fought in, but also the fact that now they've dedicated their lives toward this mission. Every fiber of their being is toward helping other veterans. And the Keatings, that Gold Star family, they're incredible. She wrote children's books called Big Hearted Charlie on behalf of her son. She gave me a set and inscribed it to Big Hearted Emily.
Oh.
I mean, they are incredible. It was an honor, the whole experience.
The sacrifices they make, and it's Christmas time. I always feel so bad.
And it looked like you had fun.
For this
I had a blast. I'm totally hooked. I'll be at the next race for sure.
All right.
All right, well, thank you so much,
you.
Emily.
Thanks, you guys.
She does it all.
She does.
An attorney, has a muscle car, a cheerleader, everything.
There you go. All right. Meanwhile, at 6:30 here in New York City and in Florida as well, Florida Governor-elect Ron DeSantis just met with President Trump at the White House. What did they talk about? We're going to ask him in about 10 minutes.
Border troops are heading home because their mission to strengthen the border is complete. Pete Hegseth is here to react to that move. Coming up. Come on in, Pete. All right.
It's your shot of the morning. Here you go. There ain't no party like a Fox and Friends party. This might have been our finest ever.
Yesterday, we celebrated our annual Christmas party with some karaoke.
Yep, we have a party every Christmas.
That is the only part we knew. Uptown Girl. Luckily, they had the words up there. Even our own Pete Hegseth and Ed Henry grabbed microphones and sang this.
And then Brian sang this. Nothing.
Oh, that's right.
Nothing. Refused to partake.
Well, you were
Party
brilliant.
Hooper.
Listen.
Smart man, actually.
You and Ed were brilliant in turning the office party into a big promo for the weekend.
That's
Fox and
exactly
Friends.
what it should
Everybody's
be.
working for the
Nothing
weekend.
felt more fitting than everybody working for the weekend.
Obviously, you didn't memorize the script.
It was
had
a lot of fun.
nothing but the chorus. The rest of it
Did
was.
you have to have a little liquid courage?
Yeah, Ed and I had a couple drinks before just to make sure we were ready to go.
Yeah.
Ed didn't want to do it, but then he got He got into it.
Well, it was.
You know that Toba, can I tell the story? Toba's our audio guy, as we all know.
I have never met him.
Toba comes up to me at the party. He goes, Ainsley, don't sing. And I said, I know I have the worst voice ever, but I have fun doing it. He goes, when you sing on the set, when we have a band on, do you know I cut your mic?
Wow.
No, it's funny. Toba's one of my good friends, and it was funny. And I thought, I really appreciate my parents, because they never told me how bad I was.
There was an encore to that song, though, as well. Later on in the evening, Ainsley may or may not have sang.
In the evening? I left at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, not the evening. You're right. An hour later.
We sang Sweet Home Alabama. A bunch of us.
It was a lot of fun, and it's our chance to say thank you to all the people who work on Fox and Friends, because they get up in the middle of the night, they come and do the show that you watch every day, and thanks to the crew behind the cameras, in front of the cameras at Fox.
We should
the
do that
PAs,
every
the writers,
week.
everybody.
We should do it every week. It's so fun. I love everyone
it
who
is.
works with us. It's
a great crew.
It's a great way to celebrate them.
We are a news channel, so let's talk about the news. Pete, our headline was the war at the southern border in Congress about funding the president's wall. Now we know that some of the troops that he ordered to our southern border in the last couple of months going home.
A few going home in the next couple of weeks. So they were the troops coming home were on the border hardening mission. So you're talking logistics, engineers, headquarters. At its height, there were about 5,900, so almost 6,000 troops. They're taking away about 1,700 troops. So you're still going to have over 4,000 troops on the border, which is way more than anything Barack Obama ever had. So
are those the guys who put up the barbed wire?
Those are, the guys going home are the ones who put up a lot of the barbed wire. A lot of the temporary structures, you saw it prominently down there in Tijuana, but elsewhere along the border. It's the temporary structures that work for a while if you're overseeing them, but ultimately are no replacement for a 30-foot border wall, which is what the president is calling for. So a temporary measure, still bigger than what Obama did, but they're bringing some home. We'll see what happens after that.
But here's the problem. As Lindsey Graham brought up yesterday, right now there's no plans to have the military build the wall, as the president brought up. He said, listen, we gave Homeland Security money for a reason and the Pentagon for a reason. I feel we didn't really have a choice, but you feel bad that you have that $700 billion and we're have to put it in our own country with our own military instead of taking our challenges in the Middle East and in Russia and everywhere else.
It's true, but what priority is bigger than our own security here?
National security.
National border security is national security. Fighting them over there so they can't come here is part of it, no doubt about it. Iraq and Afghanistan, the things that we've done, ISIS. But ultimately, if you don't, you look at portions of that border, it's been jarring to me to watch some of the coverage we've done here at Fox Nation, where, if you shake enough on the aluminum and the concertina, or dig just this far underneath, kids and others are going underneath. I mean, it is not an actual hardened border. That's why this debate for this president, I think, is such a good one for him, because the Democrats used to be there. Now, because they have to tailor to their left wing so much, they're not anymore, and it's a bad contrast.
There is going to be a government shutdown, and it's just
there will be.
Who's going to blink first? Will it be the Democrats who say, okay, we're going to give you $2 billion or $3 billion, or the president saying, you know what, maybe I'll get it in the next Congress?
But the president said it's on me. He says it's a Trump shutdown.
And therefore it becomes a border shutdown. It is about, I want to secure the border, you don't. This is the chance to do so. I've given you other chances before. I've said I would not do it again. Here's my standoff. So I think it's good. I actually think it's good that he owned it.
Is it going to be the Fox and Friends Weekend Show, the musical, or do you book guests this weekend?
Every once in a while we book guests.
Right. We're actually singing, we're working for the weekend? It's you and Ed and who else?
It's Ed and I believe it's Jedediah Bila is here this weekend, so we'll have a great weekend. We're going to do a deep dive into walls. Do they work? Do they not work? Especially in Israel, a place where they've been used extensively, not just to stop illegal immigration, but terrorism.
You were just there.
I was just there. I think you saw the debate. President Trump, Chuck Schumer. Walls work. Walls aren't needed. Well, that's a question you could look at and actually answer. And I've got an opinion, and a few other people do too. And we're going to ask about it.
It's a binary choice.
It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah,
we're going to be watching.
Thrilling.
We will be watching.
We'd like you to call in, Brian.
No, I listen every time. I don't see you, but I listen. I'm always on Sirius listening to the show.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
We'll be watching all 8 hours.
You better be. I'll be quizzing you on it.
Hey, did you see Jillian's here?
Thank you very much.
I did see Jillian. I saw Jillian at the Christmas party last night, too.
Right, and she kept walking when you tried to talk to her, right?
She did. She ignored me completely.
That is not true, Brian, and not nice. All right, let's get you caught up on your headlines, starting with this. A criminal investigation is reportedly underway into spending for President Trump's inauguration. According to the Wall Street Journal, federal prosecutors want to know if donors gave the committee money in hopes of getting access to the administration. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says this has nothing to do with the president.
The president was focused on the transition and building out a new government and preparing to take office. The role that the president had in the inauguration was to raise his hand and take the oath. I would say plan B, but this is more like plan D or E or F to take this president down.
The Inauguration Committee raised a record $107 million. It claims it's not aware of an investigation. We rarely catch a glimpse of President Trump's youngest son, Barron, and in an exclusive news interview, First Lady Melania Trump explains why.
Because children should be off limits, and I protect him, and I want to give him normal life as possible. This is not normal life, but I like to protect him and give him the childhood that he deserves.
The First Lady says